Om Shanti, good morning. Today is 29th of January. So Baba is focusing, as he has been for several days, on this being a hospital. So there are many kinds of illnesses. And usually people think of physical illness, but there's also mental illness, and there's also social illness. And in this hospital, I think all three of the illnesses are being addressed. Social illness is to do with different forms of social prejudice, which causes people to justify unacceptable behavior. So Baba wants us to think about all these things, because we can't really have a new civilization with old mentalities. So the essence is, sweet children, to make yourselves free from disease, study this spiritual knowledge, and enable others to do the same. Open a spiritual hospital, so a center or a retreat place. So the question is, by having which one desire are all other desires fulfilled? And the answer is, have the desire for yoga and knowledge. The Father's remembrance and the knowledge. Then you become ever healthy. If you fulfill the desire for knowledge and yoga, then everything else will be fulfilled, because if you have knowledge, you understand the philosophy of karma, and you will do pure karma, and then you will receive all sorts of benefits. Do not have bad habits. Be all-rounders. Of course, everyone has weaknesses, but do service anyway. And the song is, have patience, O mind, your days of happiness are soon to come. But before the days of happiness, there are trials. So watch out for those. Om Shanti. You children heard the song. At this time, Baba gives patience to all souls. The soul has a mind and an intellect, and when the soul experiences unhappiness, then the soul calls to the Father. Unhappiness, pain, hardship, deprivation, this type of thing. Then calls out to the purifier, O purifier, Supreme Father, Supreme Soul, come. Now, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar can never be called the purifier,
And if they cannot be called the purifier, then neither can Lakshmi or Narayan or Ram or Sita. This is because of the hierarchy. So the top is Shiv Baba, and then the next one down is Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar, and the next one down is Lakshmi and Narayan. And way down in the Silver Age comes Ram and Sita. So only the top one can be the purifier. Vishnu is a representation of a pure world. And Vishnu represents the master of the land of Vishnu. So Vishnu means Lakshmi and Narayan. Now Shiv Baba establishes the world of Vishnu, and he is establishing the world of Vishnu at this time. So we have the Trimurti, which means as Brahmin, you have to study the knowledge, absorb information. As Shankar, the yogi, you have to destroy the wrong information and other negativities. And then the result of that addition and subtraction is Vishnu, the balanced one. So there are only deities in the world of Vishnu. You could call it the dynasty of Vishnu or the dynasty of Lakshmi and Narayan. It is the same. So you have to understand these points. The Father is spiritual, and this is spiritual study. It is spiritual surgery. This is why such a name should be written on the board outside. Brahma, Kumar, Kumari, Ishwarya, Vishwavidyalaya. So the godly university of the Brahma Kumars and Kumaris. So the word spiritual must definitely be used. Spiritual university. This is also called a spiritual hospital. And because the Father is called the eternal surgeon, and the purifier, and the ocean of knowledge. So purification, purging of the impurities in the soul is surgery. And purification is, the catalyst is the knowledge. So he gives you patience, and he says, children, I have now come, and I am the one who teaches spirits. So I am called the Supreme Spirit. So this is word soul or spirit is the same, but in Hindi, ruh is translated as spirit, which is the Arabic word for a soul, and atma is the Hindi word, but they both mean soul. Ruh. Ruh, like Ruhani, you remember? Ruhani bachon ko, Ruhani bap ko, namaste, right? So the spiritual Ruh. Because in the language that Baba uses is a mix of all sorts of languages. And the people who are studying also are mixed with all sorts of languages, so they can pick up words that, this word belongs to me. Souls are diseased, and there is alloy mixed into the soul. So the disease will create pain, and that alloy will make the soul unable to be magnetized by Shiv Baba, unable to be pulled to Shiv Baba, and you lose value. So in the Golden Age, souls are pure, whereas here in the Iron Age, souls are impure. So there are Punya Atma there in the Golden Age. Punya Atma is souls who have pure karma. And then Papatma, souls who do negative karma, they're here. So everything depends on the condition of the soul. And the Supreme Soul gives teachings to souls. And so everyone remembers him. You can ask him for anything. He may or may not give you. If someone is unhappy, that means poor and deprived. And so they would say, have mercy, O God, have mercy, and make a rich person give me some money. And once he receives that money, he would say that God gave it to him directly or through someone. A carpenter would receive money from his employer, and children receive money from their father. But the religious people, they say it is the grace of God that my employer paid me, or that my parents gave me an inheritance. But they still don't know God, because a lot of people, they work and they don't get paid. Or a lot of children, they have rich parents who don't give them money. So they think that it comes from God. Also, people who know about karma, they also think that they got their job because of their karma, they got their parents because of their karma, so the inheritance or the payment comes because of their karma, rather than because of the person. So Baba says, people don't know God, and so they have created these approaches to add to their belief in God, that God is the provider. So then the question is asked to those people who believe in that way, what is your relationship with the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul? So relationship means the one who is your provider. That's the meaning of relationship in this sense. So what is your relationship with Brahma, the father of the people, and Jagat Amba, the world mother? So father, mother, employer, it's a relationship because of what you gain. And there are some relationships which require you to provide. You have responsibilities. What is your relationship with the king and queen, Lakshmi and Narayan? So they are the providers to the whole kingdom. So they have to make sure that your land is protected militarily, not that that's needed in the golden age, and that the weather is good. They're considered accountable for the weather, and prosperity, and harvest is good, and all this type of thing. They are the masters of the world. So people think like that because when you become Lakshmi and Narayan, you become that because you had conquered matter as well as Maya. So that means there's no negative karma or consequences of anything negative. And also matter is well disposed towards humanity, cooperative, and harmonious. So the one who established heaven, Shiv Baba, would surely have given them, Lakshmi and Narayan, the inheritance of heaven. They are the masters of the land of Vishnu. So the main images are Shiv Baba and Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar, so the Trimurti. And they show the form of Vishnu with all the ornaments, the double crown, the rosary around his neck, the conch shell, the swastika, the mace, and the lotus flower. So sustenance takes place through Vishnu. So the continuation of the civilization of the golden age is through these four main capabilities. And destruction is through Shankar. Shankar means bodiless stage. So Shankar's work is not as big as Vishnu's work. So all Shankar has to do, according to the legends, is open his third eye and see what's real, and then what's unreal collapses. Shiv Baba is the one who should be praised because he's the one who does everything. And Vishnu also becomes that because Vishnu means Lakshmi and Narayan, which means Brahma and Saraswati, who followed Srimat. And so they did that. So therefore they can be praised. The role of Shankar is separate. So the name given to this is the Trimurti. Ram and Sita and Lakshmi and Narayan are the main images. And then after that, there are the pictures of Ravan. So Ravan, so a large 4 foot by 6 foot picture of Ravan should be created. So people can see what Ravan is. So Ravan's effigy is burnt every year. There are many, many details in the picture of Ravan. Because it's symbolic. It's symbolic of materialism, symbolic of the human society is under the influence of man-made scriptures, weapons, and art and materialism. Art because beauty has a very big power over people. But the beauty of the soul and the beauty of the body has a different impact. So what is your connection with Ravan? He gets burnt, and so that means he must be a great enemy. So there should be a large picture of him in the exhibition, and his kingdom, his influence, begins in the Copper Age, at the time when the deities fall into Vammarg. So Vammarg means the path of materialism and negative karma and all this. So apart from these pictures, the other pictures should be shown in a different exhibition set. So he's talking about the pictures of bhakti. They are Iron Age pictures. So people believe in Ganesh, Hanuman, and the incarnation of God as a fish and an alligator. So all these images should be shown so people can see the contrast between the incarnation of Shiv Baba into the body of Brahma and people's belief in the incarnations of God. So they believe either there's 10 incarnations or they believe 24 incarnations. And they also believe that incarnations happen in the confluence, but there are only 4 confluences. So why are there 10 incarnations when there's only 4 confluences? So he's basically giving legal arguments to discredit the concepts of the path of bhakti, because a time will come when you have to argue for this. So, and when would you have to make a legal case for a religious idea? And that would have to be when the government is religion-based. So at the moment, the government of India is, according to the constitution, secular. The government of Pakistan is a Islamic theocracy. So religious law runs the country of Pakistan, but secular law runs India. But if you have to argue for this, then it means something should happen where India changes from secular to religious-based. So that is possible. So many such pictures can be found. You can find all these bhakti pictures anywhere. So on one side of the exhibition, have the iron-aged pictures, the pictures of bhakti, and on the other side, have your pictures. Then you can explain the comparison using these pictures. So your main picture is of Shiv Baba, and then your aim and objective is Lakshmi and Narayan. So the picture of Lakshmi and Narayan is different from the pictures of the confluence age. So the confluence age pictures means the Trimurti, the cycle, the tree. The Lakshmi and Narayan belong to the golden age. And then the pictures of the iron age are the pictures of bhakti. So you need a very large space to exhibit all these pictures. Many people will come to you in Delhi, and some of them may be good and some of them may be bad. That means some may be positively inclined and some may be antagonistic. So you need to be very cautious, and you need a good power of discrimination to discern people's motivations for talking to you. They may want to talk to you just to argue and take you down, or they may want to find out what you're talking about. So get your exhibition inaugurated by the Chief Justice. He is very well known, number one person. The president of the country and the Chief Justice are equal. They have the same status. And that is indicated by the fact that they take the oath of office from each other. Obviously, they understand some knowledge, and this is why they come to inaugurate one of your events. An inauguration would only be carried out for something constructive. The father now explains, children, your days of happiness are coming. Why does he say this so often? Your days of happiness are coming. Because it takes a long time to create the world, not 1 week. And because you have to pass through so many difficulties before the days of happiness get here. The word hospital should definitely be written on the board. Who carried out the establishment, the eternal surgeon, the purifier father. In the pure world, pure people would never have any kind of illness. And in the impure world, there are many illnesses. Think about these things with regard to doing service. What pictures should be used and how should they be explained? If someone explains them who doesn't understand Gyan very well, then no one would understand anything. And they would just say, well, there's nothing here, and these people are telling lies. So this is why those who are not very good in explaining should not be asked to explain at the exhibitions. But those who explain to others need to understand the knowledge well and articulate it well. Many kinds of people come. So if someone who's not very clever explains to someone who's a VIP and they don't do a good job, then the whole exhibition could be brought into disrepute. So Baba can tell you what type of teacher this one or that one is, because everybody's number wise, right? Obviously. Not all can understand this to the same extent. And there are many BKs who are body conscious. The Father says, O souls, your days of happiness are coming. Everyone remembers the name of heaven, but the status in heaven is also number wise. In hell too, the status is number wise. Kings and queens are those threaded in the rosary of victory. And we ask, what is your relationship with Jagat Amba, the goddess of knowledge? God gives knowledge to the goddess of knowledge, usually Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, and she becomes an empress. So Gyan Gyaneshwari to Raj Rajeshwari. Jagat Amba, the world mother, has many children, and Brahma Baba, the father of the people, also has many children. These are very subtle matters. People cannot understand who Brahma, the father of people, is, and who Jagat Amba, the world mother, is. They would be the mouth-born creation of Brahma, the father of the people. People believe in that. There's Mukvam Shavali. People are born through the mouth of Brahma. Those who understand well would immediately say that they can't understand the connection between Brahma, the father of the people, and Jagat Amba, the world mother. So you have to explain it. Because in Hinduism, they say Brahma was infatuated with his daughter, Saraswati, his daughter. And then Jagat Amba, they don't think Jagat Amba and Saraswati is the same person. So they don't understand the connection between Brahma and Jagat Amba. So you have to explain that. All these children must be mouth-born. And when they ask such questions, you can know the kind of intellects people have. You know whether they've got a clear background or not. And the Father explains all these secrets or mysteries. There are the pictures of the Trimurti, the tree, the cycle, the aim and objective, Lakshmi and Narayan, and also the one who is giving the inheritance, who is up above, Shiv Baba. The one who explains this has to be very clear. The questionnaire is also very good. What is your connection with Ravan? So none of those scholars and pundits understand how he is an enemy, because Ravan is considered one of the deities. And especially in South India, Ravan is very highly placed. And he was said to be a Brahmin, and he was said to be in control of matter. So, most of the symbolism of Ravan applies to those who are staunch Hindus. And so you wouldn't think of that as an enemy. That's quite difficult to grasp. But the staunch Hinduism has certain concepts which Baba says they are not right. And because those concepts are not right, the kingdom of Ravan, in the sense of materialism, could bring people down. And so to explain this to people such that they get it is not so easy. So they don't understand how Ravan is an enemy, and we also didn't understand this previously. Baba says, even this Brahma whom I have adopted did not know anything. Now that you know, you should have a great interest in explaining to others. This exhibition is very new, And even if people copy it, they wouldn't be able to explain it. It is a wonder. There has to be great intoxication to be really motivated. Engage yourself in service fully. Many will ask for your pictures, and so you should have many copies of them. An unlimited intellect for service is needed, or an unlimited intellect is needed for service. There will be expenses. Money has to be used. If you continue to spend, more will continue to come. That means not just spend recklessly, but spend properly. Wealth does not diminish when it is donated. Many children will continue to be created. Money has to be used for doing service. There will be the kingdom in the golden age. Now, you are not going to build your palaces here. There is so much expenditure by the government for that. Here, you have the expense of making pictures. Day by day, very good new points emerge. And it is explained, the word is yukti. Yukti is not tact, but it's really strategy. You have to be able to understand how to move people's thinking from A to B to C to D so that they follow your reasoning. And so you have to use the proper methods and strategies, but not tact. So you have to explain when the kingdom of Ravan began in this very strategic way. For half the time, it is the kingdom of Ram, and for half the time, it is the kingdom of Ravan. So you establish that. Once people have said yes to something, then you can take them to the next point. But you can't take them to the end point without going through the steps because they won't follow you. So Baba alone comes and liberates you from that Ravan, and no one else can liberate you. No one else has intelligence. Shiv Baba's intelligence is far superior to any human being. Far. And if you can just grasp that, really your eyes will open up. So the almighty authority is needed for this. Only he can enable you to conquer Maya. And then Ravan, the enemy, will not exist in the golden age. Day by day, your influence will continue to spread a great deal. The mothers and Kumaris who are in bondage will then become free. And they will all understand that this is something good. There will definitely be allegations and character defamation. Krishna was also accused. At the time of establishment, there were so many allegations of women being abducted, etc., and so many insults Brahma Baba had to bear. They have also defamed heaven, saying that there was a snake in heaven who bit Krishna, and this happened, and that happened, and the other happened. But all those are incorrect. Many come to the exhibitions, and then they are told to come to centers to understand more. They are told, come and make your lives profitable. Conquer death. There is no untimely death in the world of heaven. And there is a story of how one of the demons of death came to take someone, and he was told he couldn't enter. Death is not allowed in heaven, of course, people leave their bodies, but by voluntary. These matters have to be understood clearly. A very broad, unlimited intellect is needed for this, and you also need to be soul conscious. I am a soul. Do not be under the influence of your old iron-aged relationships or your old bodies. The play, the drama is now coming to an end, and we are to return home. We have to go to heaven and create new relationships. You have this knowledge in your intellects. The old world is going to be destroyed. So our connection is with the Father and the new world. These things have to be churned. You are receiving this knowledge for the future new world. The old world will become a graveyard. That will be very difficult for people. So why should you attach your heart to it? Everything, including your bodies, is to be destroyed. It is very good to become soul conscious. Think, we are going to Baba. Talk to yourself, and only then will you be able to explain to others. So review the knowledge, go over it, and see, do you understand it? Do you get it? Read the murli many times because it opens up new points. You children know that your days of happiness are now coming. The more effort you make to pass, the higher the status you will claim. Only your teacher would give you a certificate. He knows how much honesty you have and how serviceable you are. That one, Shiv Baba, carries out the task of construction. He does not do anything destructive. Otherwise, Shiva is thought to be the destroyer. So he is the benefactor, construction. Only those who are serviceable can be seated in his heart. However, no one has become complete yet. Everyone has some weakness. You are going to become complete as you move forward. You must be interested in creating the lives of human beings. That means to make someone's life means to make them stand on their own 2 feet and to give them the necessary understandings so that they can create a good life for themselves and not mess up their lives. Because many people, they mess up their lives just because they just don't know what makes a good life and what doesn't. So, and in making their lives worthwhile, that means profitable. So to change thorns into flowers. The Father too changes people who are like thorns into flowers. He makes them into deities. So thorns means people who are violent towards others. And flowers means people who have virtues that are like fragrance. So he makes them into deities. Deities means givers. Knowledge and yoga are also needed. When the number of you children grows big, no one will oppose you, and they will then understand. There are no deities here. You must pay attention to everything. The all-round intellects are needed. So whatever is needed in this educational, hospital, family work, that all has to be done. So is someone doing service well or not? Is someone lazy? They just want to go to bed all day long, or just hang out and do nothing? No. Is someone a person who's always wanting something? That's called greed. I want fancy clothes. I want special food. There are many desires. In fact, whatever you receive from this yajna is good. So Baba's talking especially about people who live in Madhuban or live in the centers. They are sustained. So they say, I want this and I want that more than is possible. You know, one of Dadi Prakashmani's principles was that she wouldn't take anything or use anything that she wasn't able to provide to everyone else in their yajna. So clothes, food, accommodation, transportation, whatever she would use, it would be that everyone else could also have that. Sannyasis don't ask for anything more than what they are given. They beg and they get given stuff from the householders. They believe it's not good to have habits. This is an idea in India that if you accept something that isn't what you normally have, then that's called creating a habit. So this is specific to India, not there in the West. So people wouldn't understand what it is. But you know, if you say to somebody, okay, would you like yogurt with your meal? And if they don't normally have it, then they'll say, no, I don't want to create that habit. Actually, it wouldn't create a habit. It's just an idea. So everything you receive from Shiv Baba's sacrificial fire, the yajna, it's good. So in spite of that, there are desires. I want this, I want that, I want the other. First of all, fulfill your desire for knowledge and yoga, because you have had those other desires for many births. But now, by remembering Baba, we will become ever healthy. Have this desire. So you must definitely write that this is a spiritual hospital. And when you do this, people will be able to understand that this is a hospital and a college. Baba has had these buildings constructed to serve as a hospital and a college. And there are no decorations in colleges. They are very simple. Acha. To the sweetest beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bab Dada. And the spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children. The spiritual children say namaste to the spiritual father. And the essence for dharna, don't be somebody who just wants to lounge around all the time. Have great interest in doing service. Use your money for service. Make the lives of people good and let them change from thorns to flowers. Secondly, do constructive, not destructive activities. And talk to yourself. Ask yourself, where am I headed? What am I becoming? And the blessing is, may you become an embodiment of awareness as Smriti Swarup and power, and experience transformation. Transformation means return to your original condition, and parivartan. And then you will also have happiness and lightness through powerful remembrance. Powerful remembrance gives you a double experience simultaneously. On the one hand, remembrance is a fire that burns everything, and it also transforms. Then on the other hand, it gives you the experience of happiness and lightness. So such accurate, powerful remembrance is correct remembrance, and children who are the Smriti Swarup, they're fully aware, and they have accurate remembrance, they're powerful. This awareness and power enables you to claim the right. We have the right, but you have to claim the number one prize. And the slogan is, an experienced person, the heart of an experienced person is strong and deep. Experience the stage of being merged in love. God's love is the base of this elevated Brahman life. And it is said, where there is love, there is the world and there is life. If there is no love, then your life is lifeless and you are homeless. You live in a house, not a home. And when you have love, then you got the whole world. Whereas the world is thirsty for a drop. For you children, God's love is your property. And you are sustained with God's love. That is, you move forward in life. So always stay merged in the ocean of love. Someone asked Baba, what is your love? And he said, my love is that I give you the knowledge. So love is something that enables you to be prosperous, full, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, socially. But it's not really a feeling, because feelings vary. They have peak moments and sometimes you're not feeling it. But love is an actual thing that he gives. So the most tangible thing that we have from God is the knowledge. And when you churn the knowledge, then all the recognition, the realization, the sense of what you are receiving comes to you in terms of these different feelings and qualities and so on. So there is a question about Maya and Ravan, and how is Maya manifested through daily life? There was a very deep and interesting point that came in the murli at the time when this question was put. And that is that how Ravan is depicted. And sometimes people find it quite difficult to understand that Ravan was a very good Brahmin. And of course, we have two types of Brahmins. There are the confluence-aged BK Brahmins, and there are the Brahmins, caste-born Brahmins of Hinduism. And he says that Ravan's kingdom begins in the Copper Age. And so how Ravan's kingdom begins is basically that the world of heaven breaks apart. And this is because of the small destruction, but also because people become body conscious. And what they have in the Copper Age is just different symbols and stories. But the scriptures as we know them were really put together in the Iron Age through the sannyasis, the Shankaracharyas, who really put everything into writing. And that means the Vedas, the Upanishads, all these various different scriptures. And so in the problem of Ravan in daily life and how it has power over people, first of all, is it created the patriarchal system. And the patriarchal system is based on the idea that a human being is either a male or a female. And they made a hierarchy based on gender bias. Then they made a hierarchy based on skin color bias and caste bias. People were born in different castes, and so they were classified in terms of their birth and their level of education, their level of money, and so it created a society based in materialism at every level. And so in daily life, pretty much everything is based upon these biases. And this is a cause of human suffering. And so that's how it manifests in daily life. And there's lots and lots of details of how this runs, but it's basically that. I think this matter of Ravan and Maya is a really, really big opportunity to make a comparison between Gyan and Bhakti. And in the Murli, Baba was talking about, which I haven't really heard him say this before, put the Gyan pictures and the Bhakti pictures next to each other so that you can explain to people the difference. And you see, the Hindus are not able to distinguish between deities who are historical people and deities who are symbolic. They can't. It's not possible. And they're not able to distinguish between God and deities, because deities are people. And there are, for example, two different kinds of deities who are people. And then there's a third kind of deities who don't exist. They're just symbolic representations. So the one type of deities who does exist is the Shiv Shaktis. And the Shiv Shaktis are the goddesses who, this is a reference to and a memorial of the people in the Confluence Age who took power from Shiv Baba and who destroyed negativity, and they also destroyed untruth. So those are the Shiv Shaktis. And then you have the deities who are historical people from the Golden Age, Lakshmi and Narayan, and from the Silver Age, Ram and Sita. So they're real, and but they're not at this time. They're in a later time. And in the picture of the ladder, it shows the progression of the golden age and then the silver age, and then in the copper age it shows the progression of bhakti. So in bhakti, the first thing that they listen to or focus on and think about is incorporeal God. And so they didn't have any physical worship at that time. It was just meditation, somewhat similar to what we do. And they remember the light, but they don't have enough information. They don't have all the knowledge of the cycle. And then you see in the golden age is a very formal culture, because it's kings and queens, and it's immensely wealthy and very high tech. So it's really pretty difficult for people at this time to really picture what the golden age is like, because the depictions that we get in BK are all sorts of golden palaces, which look like sort of St. Petersburg or Versailles or something like that, which is pretty iron aged. And then you see there are depictions of Lakshmi and Narayan with lots and lots of gold and jewels and everything like that. And there are stories about those flying machines. And of course, many BKs had visions of the golden age. And I also did. But you can't see the whole culture in a vision. You just see some scene or some deities or something like this. And you say, wow, but you don't get the full picture. And so we know that from some of the descriptions that Baba has given, that it's very high tech, that it is like very environmentally friendly, and that there are factories, there's a lot of artisans, there's a lot of art. All the deities are artists, everything is very beautiful, but they are not under the influence of beauty, it's just there. So the beauty of nature, the beauty of human beings, and the beauty of what they create is all one continuous, harmonious flow. And when all that broke down at the beginning of the Copper Age, then people became aware of the body, and then they really got into sex. This is the main thing that started at that time. And there are a lot of images of that in the temples. And this is where all the spiritual power was lost. And the thing is that in a patriarchal system, you know, the males get energy from the females, and the females get depleted by that. But that energy in the males doesn't last very long, so they have to get more and more. But it runs out, it becomes addictive. So this is why I think at the present time in the Iron Age, you get so much domestic violence, so much addictions, whether it's drugs or sex addiction or violence addiction, a lot of violence, because people get a little energy by doing violence, but it's a very small amount. And it doesn't last very long. Then you have to get more and more and more. And so people become predators, and they prey on nature, they prey on animals, they prey on women, they prey on children, and everything just gets completely depleted. And so then Baba comes at the time when people are completely depleted and corrupted and addicted, very, very badly addicted to all these things. And a lot of the addictions are formalized as acceptable social behavior or acceptable behavior in business. But it's maybe they made it acceptable, but that doesn't mean that it actually is acceptable. It's very damaging. And so I think that the acceleration of the fall of humanity that we can see here and now is natural. It has to be a very, very high acceleration. And that's why these last periods of time are very hard, because everything is breaking down and becoming extremely violent and very, very unbearable. So you have to have, what he says is the only way that you can get through this is if you keep up your intake of spiritual power from Shiv Baba, because you're using it up all day long, and you need to try to take more than you're using. There's another question. Is there a way to discern between your fear of change and your inner voice intuition telling you not to do something while making an important decision? How do you develop the power of making right decisions? Yeah, this is always an issue that people have, because when you make a decision, it's based on not knowing. You can always say, oh, I should have done this with hindsight, when you know things that you didn't know at the time of making a decision. So the knowledge that Baba gives us is very helpful in decision making, because he gives us pointers. And yet there is so much that you don't know. So when you're making a decision, you have to, I mean, you hear about the triple bottom line. When it's bottom line only, that means you make a decision based on financial profit. But if you make a decision where there will be financial profit, and it will also be very good for the people involved, and it will also be very good for the environment, then taking into consideration all these things is good for decision making. Decision making varies. What kind of decision, what's it all about? But you have a circumstance that arises, you're in a position where you have to make a choice, and you don't know enough information. So you have to really listen to the voice of conscience, which will help you. Never make a decision when you're happy, and never make a decision when you're upset. So it's very good to wait until you're completely, emotionally neutral, and then make a decision, because if you make a decision based on your feelings, it's unlikely to turn out well. And I know there's a lot of people who do everything according to feelings, but generally it is considered as not very wise to do that because feelings fluctuate. Whereas if you are, in the cold light of day, deciding things, looking at everything that you need to take into consideration and find out as far as possible what you need to know so that you make a decision which is, it's like a calculated risk rather than a reckless spur of the moment thing. And we have one more question. The difference between conscience and feeling is a vast difference. And when you say feeling, it could be anything, because sometimes people consider the word feeling to be some like sense that comes up. Well, I have a feeling that today there's going to be, some problem, or today there's going to be some good thing that's going to happen, or I have a feeling like that. And this is very unreliable, very unreliable. Conscience is the inner voice that lets you know the difference between right and wrong and true and false. And so conscience is connected with the intellect, and feeling is connected with the mind. And the mind doesn't know the difference between good and bad, right and wrong. It's all about perception, sense perception, emotions, and so it's not reliable. But your intuition is in the mind. But Baba always says you have to check it against the voice of the intellect, the voice of conscience, the voice of knowledge. And sometimes he says, if you have a feeling, check it with somebody who is experienced and wise. There are not many people like that. Not like that. Okay, so let's close with a few moments with Baba, and have a wonderful day. And we will meet again tomorrow for Avyakta Murli. Om Shanti.